It is day 35 of the Israel-Hamas war, and there is one question on everyone's mind. What will be the future of Gaza after the war? Who is going to control it? And what is it going to look like? Well, to start with, there is a statement from the Israeli Prime Minister. He has said that Israel does not seek to conquer, occupy, or govern Gaza. Then what really does it intend to do? Well, it wants to demilitarize and de-radicalize Gaza. Exact words spoken. Let me quote. We don't seek to conquer Gaza. We don't seek to occupy Gaza. And we do not seek to govern Gaza. What we have to see is Gaza demilitarized, de-radicalized, and rebuilt. Now, these are telling words, more so given how it's not the US or an Israeli ally, but Israel's own prime minister saying them. How do we perceive this? Has Israel accepted the American position? Is all of this the result of America's backdoor diplomacy? Here's why I say it certainly looks like it. Israel has also agreed to a 4-hour daily pause in the fighting, which means that it will put in place a daily 4-hour humanitarian break in its ongoing assault in Gaza. And guess who's made this announcement? The White House. The statement came right after Netanyahu made a remark on similar lines in an interview. He said, and I'm quoting again, "The fighting continues against the Hamas enemy, the Hamas terrorists, but in specific locations for a given period, a few hours here, a few hours there. We want to facilitate a safe passage of civilians away from the zone of fighting, and we are doing that." Now, here's the thing. This is not an out-of-the-blue development. It comes after several attempts by the US to make Israel dial down its offensive. American officials have been pressing Israel, remember, for a pause in the fighting. In fact, the US president had said that he had asked Israel for a pause greater than 3 days. Listen to this.
Did you ask for a 3-day pause to Netanyahu?
You know, I've been asking for a pause for a lot more than 3 days. Yes.
Did you ask him to pause for 3 days to get the hostages out for that
Yes.
length of time?
I've asked for even a longer pause for some of them.
So as it turns out, the US wanted a longer pause. Israel only agreed for a 4-hour break. It may not be a big breakthrough, but it is still something. The question is, what does this pause really mean? And what does it strive to achieve really? Well, this 4-hour window will essentially facilitate a passage for civilians to leave the fighting zone. It will also provide a brief period for the Gazans to secure humanitarian aid. And lastly, this break could provide some much-needed time for talks and diplomatic efforts to end the war. And if and when the war ends, what would Gaza look like? Who is going to rule the Strip? What is the future of Gaza? What lies ahead? Well, some countries have agreed to take up the mantle after the war, and some have flatly refused to get involved. Take Egypt, for instance. The Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, has rejected an American proposal to manage the security of the Gaza Strip after the war. Now, for the unversed, a few days back, the CIA director, William Burns, met el-Sisi, and during the meeting, he put forward a proposal for Egypt to take up temporary control of Gaza before it gets transferred to the Palestinian Authority. Egypt refused this proposal. Why is that? Apparently because it needed Hamas to ensure border security between Egypt and the Gaza Strip. So the proposal got junked. Meanwhile, Turkey has made an offer. It says it's using all its diplomatic means to secure a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict. The statement has come from the president of Turkey himself, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. That's right. Let me quote his statement for you. "We will gather to discuss the topic in detail and negotiate to ensure an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. We will focus on the questions: what can each country participating here do? What can the Gulf countries do? Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, we will discuss in detail what each of us can do. If you are sincere about a ceasefire, put pressure on Israel to implement the UN resolutions." Erdogan's offer may be enticing, but at this point, it's uncertain if it will find any takers. Because for a ceasefire to take place, there must be consensus. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.